beginning.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Glenn?
I'm doing fantastic.
Sir. Easy peasy. First of
All
all,
good.
everybody, welcome to another episode of the Grey Sweatpants Show. So glad to have you all here with us. If you have not already liked, subscribed, and shared, now's the time to do it because we are blowing up doing big things, trying to do this show on what it means to support Black men, Black health, and all the things that pertain to that. So we are here this morning. Going to jump right into it. Actually, afternoon. We're here with Glenn D. Andrews. We're going to allow him to introduce himself. You already know who we are. Me, my girl April, and obviously my boy AD. And Glenn, we're just going to throw it to you. Why don't you tell us what you do, and we're going to go from there, brother.
All right. My name is Glenn Andrews. I am a fitness and wellness professional. I am the general manager of fitness facilities. I'm also a health and wellness consultant. I am also a private and public trainer. I've been training professional athletes over 25 years, 10 years certified, and the last 2 years been working with minority baseball prospects, trying to get more young black athletes, young black baseball players into the Major League Baseball. So hopefully that's going to turn around, and here soon we won't have a lockdown, but my focus right now has been on baseball and a little less football. Grew up in Southern California, Southeast San Diego, where we have a study we're doing later on where they want to know what's in the water, because we had several Heisman Trophy winners from within that 10 square mile of where I grew up.
Okay.
Another month from now, and we'll talk about that later, I'll be speaking in San Diego, maybe this way, or I'll be flying out to talk about men's health there, because Marcus Allen's oldest brother, Harold Allen, just had a stroke, and Mrs. Allen want all of us who are still connected in health, wellness, the medical field, to come out and speak on black health, black men's health as well.
All right.
So Glenn, I met Glenn through the gym that I work out at. So he's the general manager there. And what's really interesting is like the day that Glenn told me how old he was, my head blew up. Like, I know black don't crack, but you got to tell everybody how old you are.
All right. I will be 59 years old this year.
So
50, is that 59 in Canadian? Or what's the conversion on that, brother? 59. What does that mean?
I'll say 59 in Alpha Dog years. Now 59 in American years, and actually too, the whole thing of being this age, and with the list of things we hopefully will touch upon going into corporate America, was a blessing and a curse, because that 7 years, 8 years that I let my health get out of sync was also a blessing once I got all my certifications, because I had been training athletes and doing programs for guys in the NFL and Major League Baseball while I was out of shape. And it's one of the little things that I learned once I left that side of corporate America and went into supply chain logistics and understanding how to put your health first. And it's not just for aesthetics, is what it does for you internally, spiritually, intellectually as well.
Right.
Okay, well, trainer, nutritionist, dietitian. We're gonna jump into some real quick questions and topics, maybe a little bit rapid fire. The first thing I want to talk to you about and throw it to you: eating for nutrition versus eating to be full. Let's start there.
It's two levels of it. One of them is eating for maintenance, eating for lifestyle. That's
Okay.
very easy. That's based on what the FDA and the National Health Institute recommends. And then there's eating for a particular goal, whether it's weight loss, weight gain. You want to do a Tough Mudder, a Spartan race, run a marathon. So there's performance eating as well. Both kind of intersect each other, because everything we do from a health standpoint is based on numbers, your heart rate, macros, blood pressure. So numbers is the key. The other part of it is not so much neck down, but neck up, your mindset. You have to be ready to do any of the things you want to do or pursue from a health and wellness standpoint. And here, the last 2 years, with everything that's going on with K-19, and we've talked about folks getting therapy in our community, that is key. I think now we need to start talking about having folks get therapy to get themselves healthy as well. It may take some counseling or speaking to a therapist before they take that jump, before they just walk into a gym and say, hey, I want to lose weight, because sometimes not having the right mindset, you want to achieve your goal.
Okay, so you said, what is K-19, by the way, for those who don't know?
I don't want to say COVID-19 because sometimes it messes with
demonetizing people. I got you.
Yeah.
No okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was like some special karate move or something, bro.
Nah, talking with different groups, learning how to not mess up their monetization of the algorithm. Yes, I'll say K-19 or C-19.
No problem.
Right.
But nutrition is the basis of nutrition is based on your macronutrients, and your macronutrients, there's the general, but then everything is specific to you as an individual, just like your fingerprint. Each one of us have unique macronutrient needs, and it's based off 100% proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Then you get into sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and all the minerals and the branched chain amino acids. But everybody's nutritional needs is like a fingerprint, and it's unique to each individual.
Okay. You had a question, AD?
Mr. Andrews, what are some of the things that, as a professional, a health professional, what are some of the things that you focus on, in your day-to-day life? Like, what are some of the top things that you kind of consider, when you
I think the first thing,
taking care of your body.
I think the first one is drinking water. Drinking water, number one, and what they say about the grocery store. The healthiest foods are on the perimeter and not on the inside of the grocery store. The third part is nutritional information. What we're taught in Nutrition 101, if the nutritional information has more than one word, we're dealing with something that's either man-made or chemically made that the body can't ordinarily, under normal circumstances, break down. And so you try to want to have your food just have one name. It's lettuce, it's steak, it's chicken. It's not raisin. Well, I don't want to clown on Raisin Bran, because I'm working on a client and he sent me his macros and I saw Raisin Bran, cheesecake, Corona, a Starbucks, Lotto, something, and he wanted to gain weight. And when I looked at just a snapshot of his day, one, his sodium level and sugar level was too high, and two, to gain weight at his height, his calories were too low. And he was having insulin spike. And so recognizing that, depending on what your profession is, you literally can eat for your profession. If you drive a truck, work in a warehouse, you definitely need more carbs, more protein, and sleep. If you sit at a desk and on a computer, you need less carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates is your energy, and you're sitting on that energy and not doing anything with it. So you literally can eat for your lifestyle and your occupation.
So after a certain age, though, like, things change. So after, like, we're talking about men after 35 and even women after 35, like, obviously the way your body starts to break down things is different. And, with physical changes, let's say we're talking about somebody who's like deciding now after 30, like after 35, and you're a man and you're like, hey, I want to start a nutrition lifestyle for what I do. But you've been in the habit of eating bad for like 15, 20 years. How do you help someone gradually get into eating right that's not going to shock them or cause them to just quit? Because I know that's what happens a lot of times.
I use the Pareto rule, 80-20. 80% clean, 20% whatever they want. But I need to get that first snapshot of what they're doing in a week, from Sunday in the morning until Saturday in the evening. And then I'll just show them the numbers. Right? With MyFitnessPal, you literally can look at what's working for your body and what is not working for your body. And if your goal is to lose weight at a certain weight and height, or to put on muscle, these are the things we can tweak. I don't necessarily pull away all the foods you enjoy, because a lot of the foods you enjoy not only have an effect on your body, they have an effect on your mind. And I learned that through my transition, and as I was getting certified and going out and speaking on health and wellness, how much Coca-Cola, for example, that's a staple here in Georgia, but Coca-Cola, it's kind of hard in your system. It's a lot of sugar. And so I wouldn't want to take it all the way, but maybe maybe drink it a little bit less, but let me replace it with something else. with BioLite or lemon juice or tea with less sugar. So someone just starting out who's been living a certain lifestyle for such a long time, it's a gradual change. But I like the Pareto rule: 80% clean, 20% whatever they enjoy. Because if you're doing the work, it shouldn't be a punishment. It should be a reward for doing all these things on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned something earlier, and I'm curious to get your take on this. Obviously, you talked about the ingredients that go into something.
Yes.
Now, we know that a lot of the food that we eat, matter of fact, if it's out sold publicly, it has to be regulated by the government. It's a FDA approved. So my question to you is, how can a person interpret nutritional guidelines if they're eating lettuce and cheese, and that's one thing, and it doesn't have one word in it? Like, how can they know that what they're eating is good? How can we interpret those guidelines?
Every food that is made for public consumption has nutritional information. Everything, and it breaks down what minerals they're made up of, where they fit into the spectrum of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, how much sugar, how much salt. Are they high glycemic? Are they low glycemic? So every food in the United States fits into that realm. And the FDA, I think they started really regulating and having food labels, I want to say the early 70s, late 60s. So food information now, what we do now is virtually new. It is virtually new, but all the information has been out there because of the demand of the consumer.
But even with governmental regulations, right? We know that, people talk about big pharma as far as medicine is concerned. People talk about, chicken. Like there's like 4 or 5 chicken sellers in the entire planet. There's Tyson and like 2 or 3 others.
Purdue.
Purdue, yeah. So they have an interest in making sure things with their lobbyists are regulated a certain way. Is that something that for us people to be concerned about as well? How those things are regulated by the government? Because like you said, Coke is hard on you.
Yeah.
And they still sell that. Yeah. So what about that as far as governmental regulations?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's really a fine line, because there's a level of, even using the word organic. My mom and dad grew up Alabama, Oklahoma, where they had chickens, cows, grew their own food. That now is considered organic, which is just naturally living on a farm. And so we're dealing with marketing and promotion, and what we know is healthy and what we know is good for you. There's a level of protection that the FDA and these food producers have to do to maintain some safety, but we kind of don't know where that line gets too far, where you have chickens that are fed a certain way and giving veterinarian medicine so that they're healthy, but how much of that is passed on to us when we eat that food. And we don't know till cancer studies are done down the line. So I'm kind of on the fence about pharmaceuticals and the veterinarian participation in our health system. There's a need for it because of just the way things are right now. We can even add that to what they do to water.
Mm-hmm. Water. Explain that. What? I don't know, but tell me what they do to water. Talk about that.
From chlorine, from purification, that whole process. Because even my neighbor pointed out, because he used to live on a farm in North Carolina, and he just said to me one day, Glenn, do you notice the kind of metally smell that's coming from the water? And I did, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So I'm big on putting Brita filters on everything. The flip side of that,
okay, I'm sorry.
What Brita filters do, with the water purification and the water company doing what they need to do with chlorine and making sure the water is clean once it leaves the system coming into your house. When you add the Brita filter, is the Brita filter removing something that protects you?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that makes a good point, because I was just thinking about that. Like, I remember growing up in my grandma's house, we used to drink water out the water hose, right?
Yeah, we did too.
Like, we couldn't come back inside. Like, don't come in for water. It's 99 degrees outside. You get the water hose, but then you could taste the chlorine, right? Like, you could taste
Mine tasted like a water gun because it came out that hole and it was hot. You had to let it run for a little bit. Yeah.
All of that.
Cold water.
That
like,
hot water.
Yeah.
And it's like to the point now, it's like if we knew what pure water tastes like, I don't even think we know what pure water tastes like.
We don't know.
So, because my grandmother's well, she had a well, but it was sealed up for as long as I can remember.
Right.
So I'm curious, like, you know, and I'm big on like survival shows too. Like, so when people are like drinking water out the creek, I'm like, what's in it? It's some flesh-eating bacteria we don't know. So the point is, we just don't know, and it does mean something to think about what is in the water. And you make a good point about if the Brita filters, because I have them as well, are they taking out what we need?
Exactly.
So, and then just onto that, you know, just kind of piggybacking off of the governmental regulations and nutritional guidelines. I'm thinking about now there's this big push on healthy foods, right? So there's plant-based foods. And so we're thinking that plant-based food means they have to be good for you, right? They have to be better for you
than eating meat.
And I don't want to call out the business because I mean she's doing a great job, but I went to had an event at a place that was vegan, and the food was delicious.
It was a bomb.
Yep.
It's delicious and it's all vegan.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking to myself,
man, spinach ain't supposed to taste like ground beef. It's like, how did you? That's magic.
How?
Like, how did you do
that? Be good all the way good for it. They manipulated this plant so much to have the texture of meat. And then there's so much sodium that goes into it to make it taste, or you know, to taste like meat or grilled meat. So just want to talk about that too. The healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah, you know what? This I would say that is kind of been the blessing as I'm getting older, because and being a trainer, because I've just about tried everything outside of the pharmaceuticals and steroids. That's the only thing, and HT, because I didn't have the need for doing testosterone replacement. And so everything else I've done, vegan, vegetarian, smoothies, the cleanse, I've done it because I've had clients who have done all these things. So if for me to do it and know what works and what don't work, if they're doing it, I now know. The other thing I've learned too, getting older, and early in my life, I love steak, chicken, turkey, ribs, soul food, collard greens, neck bones.
Needed.
We can hit that too. What is hog maws and all that good
chitlins? Woo! Make it
chitlins, all that. Because and I hear these guys like, well, that's the slave food and that's bad for you. But me being a nutritionist and understanding food, a lot of what we call slave food was fatty food, but it was natural fats, which lends itself into a ketogenic type of diet. You know, so now on the vegan side, what I would say about almond milk, now, and I'll hit that too. Almond milk is not milk; it's almond juice.
It's almond juice.
So a lot of the stuff is a play on words, and food is smell, color, and sight, and it works. That's part of our human nature.
That's true.
So for them to make I think it's the black bean patty that looks like a hamburger and it tastes like a hamburger, I say cool. If it works, go with it. Because one of the things I'm learning, I think the human beings need to eat a certain way at certain times in their life. From birth to 4 or 5, breastfeeding. 6 up to puberty, all the foods, the 5 food groups. And if they're getting into sports, eating a little bit more healthier. 25 to 35, maybe pulling back on your red meat, your proteins, depending on your activity. If you're an athlete, you may need those proteins for your recovery and your carbs for your energy. As you're getting into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, not as much red meat because the meat and the proteins are slow digestive in your system. And so the vegetables and fruits digest quickly and the nutrients are ready for your system. So if you're getting older, you want that energy. You don't want your body spending that much time digesting food. And that's something I personally have learned over the last, I say 10 years, because I don't eat as much meat as I used to, the T-bones, the big Atlanta Brave tomahawk chop on the barbecue pit. And I'm like, whoa, I got a lot more energy. What's going on here? I started doing the smoothies. I got one of them industrial blenders where I just throw vegetables in there with some fruit and a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of turmeric and black seed oil for the joints, which works as well. And drink that. And not only do I have energy throughout the day, I'm not really hungry. And so getting older, unless you have the demand where you need that much protein and meat, you can adjust your diet a little bit so your body's not spending that time digesting food. Because if you notice, most folks, when they get 45 to 55 and they start eating a lot of meat, the first thing they got to do is grab that beer and go to the lazy boy, and they almost snoring, falling asleep.
That's true.
And I just want to say that if there are any industrial blender folks out there who want to sponsor the show or sponsor my boy Glenn, we will mention your name.
Yeah.
So go ahead, don't fake the funk.
I'll give you the name of the two good ones behind the scenes.
Exactly. Y'all got to pay us for that.
After. And so smoothies, smoothies work, but everything in moderation. You can do too much smoothies because the digestive system is meant to break down food. So if you're just drinking it, that's a process that your system is not going through.
You talked about smoothies, and you also talked about energy, and we also talked about like the effects of what Black men are usually plagued with, later, and that's high blood pressure, hypertension, and we know that sugar is the enemy. So when you're talking about smoothies and you're talking about what men can do, Black men can do to help either combat high blood pressure or hypertension, or things that we're doing inadvertently that could harm us. So I just want to talk about that as well.
It is the nutrition. Is one part of it is nutrition. The other part of it is lack of activity. And then it's just stress. And that can be personal stress or professional stress. And I can speak to that because there was a 7-year window where I had professional stress. I was running a department for a big bank and working 10, 12 hours a day, had 2 babies, and they just brought food in to us as long as we were working. Well, I went from about 195 pounds to 250 pounds in a 7-year window. And I neglected going to the doctor for my regular checkups. And so I was in the boom and bust of banking. And when the bubble burst and I saw it coming, I knew I needed to get out of that industry, which I did. And I finally went and got a physical and did all the things I needed to do. And luckily I had a Black doctor who had been seeing me intermittently for those 7 years, who saw my whole family, basically, Dr. Ryan and Dr. Battle. And he said, Glenn, I'm going to put you on this. I was on high blood pressure medicine. I was on amlodipine, benzapril, and hydrothorazide, which is a diuretic. And because my systolic was too high. And I'm going to put you on these blood pressure medicines because I have to, because 99% of the individuals, if they drink water, exercise, and eat right, they won't do it. So as a doctor and my oath, I have to prescribe these medicines for you. And that was hit me like a bombshell, because I've been an athlete and athletic all my life. But that 7-year window when I focused on career and family, which I don't blame it on career, I don't blame it on family. It's just that we're just so much taught health and wellness is the aesthetic part, how the suits fit, how we look. It's more the internal part and what it does for you on just from a stress level and on a mental level. And men and women, particularly African-American men and women, we have to put our health number one and be selfish about that. Because if you put your health number one, you can give 100% to everybody else. But if you don't put your health number one, you don't have that to give to your job, your family, and whatever else is going on around you. So I became selfish about my health. And luckily, around the same time, my wife did too. She's a 2-time breast cancer survivor, doing fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, good for her.
She's also a marathon runner, a hiker, and she's out hiking today. And a Rottweiler. She loves Rottweilers too, so she out with her baby. And so us going through both of our physical challenges together and separately have a blueprint for what it is. It's not so much the job. Yeah, the job presents stresses, but you just got to let that job know, I got to get out of here and go for this walk. I got to get out here and go for this run. And then you add the nutrition part, you can start eating for your lifestyle.
That's so
okay. Mr. Andrews, tell us a little bit about Heroes and Kings, your program.
Heroes and Kings, that actually started with it started really 1988 when I was getting ready to head to Morehouse and go to school. Southern California, late 80s, early 90s.
You went to Morehouse when it was fun, like 88.
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
all the way.
Y'all was crunk. I was going to school in Oklahoma in 91. Everybody was trying to come out to Atlanta to just to kick it.
I was in the beginning of Freaknik. I put it to you like this: Freaknik and Wolf Camera was something else.
Yes, Wolf Camera, because everybody had those big camcorders. That's vlogging.
It was something else. And oddly enough, I was on my way to USC and got hurt playing football. And that was a blessing and a curse, because love football and baseball, two-sport athlete, love football, love baseball, got hurt, but good academically. So I had to pivot. I had to pivot and see, what am I gonna do with my life? Came out here for my cousin's wedding, and we took the tour, picked up the application, brought it back home, and a lot was going on in Southern California back then. We talking the gangs, the drugs, all of it. And I knew folks in that life, but I was an athlete and I got the pass. And he knew my dad because he was a coach as well. And so I saw what was going on. I said, what can I do for cats to have what I've had, the life I've had? I'm not special by any means of the imagination. I just saw the options, and I learned the difference between making sacrifices and making decisions. And I made the decision, I'm going to say no to that life, and I'm going to go get me an education. And I wasn't coming to Morehouse to get the job, to get more money. I knew early on my mom was big on education. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica, big on books. I had already read Francis Cress Westley and Dr. W.B. Du Bois before I arrived at Morehouse. So I was already prepared for what Morehouse could do for me, And so once I arrived at Morehouse, I just saw the diversity. And it's what they say about an HBCU. You get to see what you don't see. We don't all think alike, but we're all going in the same direction. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because for me, out in California, I had been around the other folks and knew I could compete on any level. So going to Morehouse was a chance to get around brothers and Spellman and Clark and Mo Brown at the time, get around brothers and sisters where we all can compete with each other, and we're gonna make each of us better.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And so that's what Heroes and Kings. So Heroes and Kings, it was an idea in 1988. What are the things you can call a man, period? And no matter how you break it down, it still symbolically is going to be this. You can call me a hero, you can call me a king, you can call me a man, but you can't call me a boy.
That's it. Not unless you want to get D's, or unless you are my boy. What up, boy? What up? What's up, boy? What's going? Like,
that's it.
Other than that, though.
and that was it. And I said, okay. And so just before the pandemic, we doing all this fitness and wealth stuff and going to churches. We went to some boys camps. We went to the jails. We went to the prisons. Just speaking on health and wellness. We went to a school. We did a career day, which two things happened out of that. I did a career day with a good buddy, attorney Donald Pollard, who I'm training his son, and the Giants and the Padres are looking at him right now. So that's another story. Known that brother for 30 years. And but the kids like, well, do you guys have any merch? I didn't know what merch means. I was like, merch? And I came home and asked my son and daughter, who was still at the time, like, what is merch? And my daughter, Dad, that's merchandise. Oh, like hoodies and shirts and hats. She said, yeah. So my kids helped me start up the apparel store, the e-commerce store, and everything we do with Heroes and Kings is a story.
Yeah.
Everything we do is a story. About a year ago, I had a chance to meet Slim Thug, and that's what this shirt is about. He got that song called Church. I just used to listen to that all the time about you can't soar with the Eagles if you're hanging with the chickens. And that song just hit me.
Yeah.
You know? And so Heroes and Kings, the stuff we do in the store has to have a connection to a story. It has to be like that 5-minute elevator pitch. What does that shirt mean? What does that hat mean? What does these shoes mean? What does these socks mean? And so and that's real important to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Now, there's 3 things that I want to try to hit on, hopefully, before we get you out of here.
Okay.
And you can take them in whichever order you want to. The first is I want to talk to you, because you mentioned this very early on in this conversation about changing your behavioral modifications. When I was looking at your bio, I saw that you have like an ACE fitness certification,
Yes.
something like that. So that I want to talk to you about what behavior modification, what training is concerned. I also want to talk to you about functional training.
Yes.
Over 35. And then I'm going to talk to you about bow, chicka, bow, bow.
What is that?
A little sex.
No.
So I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah. You know what? That's fantastic. That's fantastic, because each 4 sets up the sex part.
Okay.
American Council of Exercise, I got a certification to be a personal trainer. Okay. Now, I had been training folks since 1990. But it was based on what I knew about sports, baseball, football, and I used to ride bikes, not triathlons, but criteriums, racing road bikes and mountain bikes, and rollerblades too. I used to do long distance rollerblading and just racing rollerblades. That's another story. That's that California life.
That's that California stuff all day.
Yeah, and doing that stuff, I understand kinesiology and how the body works. And so looking at someone like Tiger Woods, too much golfing and baseball does not need a lot of weightlifting. What they need is yoga and Pilates. They need flexibility, because your great golfers, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, Mickelson, they don't look like bodybuilders. They have form. And my daughter was a golfer, and I picked up on that quick. You know, the swing is not about power. It's about flexibility and form. And so that's the personal training part, looking at the human body, understanding the 3 body types: endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph. When you know that about yourself, and then you look at your goal, you know how you can train. You know how you can eat. That is the foundation of it. Okay. The behavior part. The behavior was a contradiction to the personal training. Because as a trainer, I'll do your program, tell you what to eat, walk you through your session. We're working through this goal based on what it is. From the behavior standpoint, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you to quit smoking. I can't tell you got to exercise. I can't call you and FaceTime you and tell you to put that Coke down. What I have to do is give you suggestions and behavior modifications for you to come up with quantitatively and qualitatively why you shouldn't drink Coke at work and you should make better choices. And so luckily I got my CPT first, which you have to, then I did the functional training next, and then I did behavior, and then I did nutrition last. I'm glad I did it that way, because had I did behavior after CPT, it would have conflicted on the way I needed to train some of my clients, because there's some clients I need to push, there's some I need to pull, and then the ones I can't push and pull, it's really, I got to see where your head's at before we do anything.
Will you turn down a client if their head's not in it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have done it. And it has been close friends too. Close friends. I have had a good female friend who used to run track, and I tease her because she's AKA too. But she used to run track. Yeah, Alpha Kappa, not Alpha Kappa, Pink and Green.
That's the Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Yeah. And
shouts out to my AKA friends. They ain't all bad.
Sedity.
She came to me, and I knew I'm noticing her, and she had put on about 10 to 15, and she said, "Hey, I want to lose this. I want to get back in shape. I got all these functions coming up. I got a wedding coming up," and I'm like, "Cool," but and just talking with her, the first thing she told me was, "I ain't giving up shrimp. I'm not giving up drinking wine." She started telling me all the things she's not going to do, and I'm like, we
I ain't
hadn't
gonna
even
train
got
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we hadn't even started yet, and she's telling me all the no's.
Right.
It may not have been where I needed to pull shrimp away or wine away. Maybe just reduce it a little bit. But if she wasn't open to what she needed to do from the beginning, I can't help you.
I get it.
Totally
I can't help you.
Yeah.
And then functional training. I will dare say functional training and more cardio is better, is more efficient than a lot of weightlifting. Now, I've done powerlifting. I dabbled in not bodybuilding early on, and got myself up to almost national level powerlifting at 195 pounds. That's hard on your body. Look good, but you have to train heavy to lift heavy. And it takes a lot of time, and you got to eat a certain way. There's getting in shape for maintenance and just everyday living. What I would say is functional training is better, because looking at what just took place in the last 2 years, that disease hit most folks from a cardiovascular standpoint.
That's right.
And the main number is your beats per minute and your heart rate, which leads itself to more movement, a little bit more running, a lot more cardio, and training aerobically. And functional training allows you to do burpees, do battle ropes, do sandbags, calisthenics, sneak in some running here and there, and give you the best of both worlds. And is the reason why I like functional training more than just centralized weight training if I'm not working with a bodybuilder or a football player, because functional training, you have to think about the movement and be kind of coordinated, and you're not so much thinking about how difficult it is and how taxing it is on your cardiovascular system or your anaerobic system. You're trying to figure out how I can do this battle rope, jump back up, run, do this pull up. So you're looking at it choreographically versus how it's taxing you physically. And within 30 minutes, I done got your heart rate, you done burned about 1,000 calories, and you're done.
Right.
Because functional training is more efficient.
Right.
Okay.
Now, it's also important for the functional training, the nutrition, all of that has to be in perfect alignment, because we also know that sexually after a certain age, things start to change.
Yep.
It's one of those taboo subjects.
She's talking about men.
It's one of those taboo things, right? Because we all know the facts. The fact is that women at 45 reach their sexual peak, right? That's when we want it. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, that's when things are shots fired and missed. So
all of it is connected. All of it is connected. The nutrition, the stress, meditation. Teddy Pendergrass Teddy Pendergrass, after he left Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes, he has this one song where a man just got to go someplace and just be by himself. And you men, you need to meditate. Just go somewhere and just be by yourself. Get your head in the right space. Nutrition, and that just for women as well.
Yeah.
Maybe some music. Not hitting some of that hard trap stuff in me, my NWA and any of that stuff. Some jazz, some wine every now and then, and a cigar. Sometimes you need to take your mind down and get yourself in alignment spiritually, intellectually, and personally, because it does have an effect on the people around you, and particularly your significant other.
So how do you eat and train for sex?
Everything is tied together. Eating clean, and that 80-20 rule. 80-20 is on the sex side as well.
Okay.
It's in your performance at work, because it's all physical performance.
Okay.
It is all physical performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it to you like this. You have your ordinary vehicle outside of April's Tesla. You have your ordinary vehicle that goes to the gas station and get regular old octane gas, right?
Right.
I've built hot rods.
Mm-hmm.
Your NASCAR, your drag racing car, your Formula One, they need 110 octane. This is a high performance vehicle, so you need high performance fuel. It works the same way with sex. If you're eating good and you're eating clean, everything else falls into that alignment.
Right.
Right. But okay, so you're talking about these different things, and you've hit it on some of them more specifically. But are like if you know, oh man, my wife, she's been gone for 2 weeks on vacation. When she come back, so like, how can you eat in preparation for that kind of stuff? Like, can you go? I mean, because all we know about you, I'm gonna tell some tales right now. Sorry, pops. When I was little, I didn't know what Yohimbe was, and so
I know Yohimbe.
I'm reading Yohimbe. I'm like, what is Yohimbe? And then when I found out what it was, now I'm not wanting to hug my mom. I'm like, man, get away from me. I don't know what y'all be doing. I don't know. Yohimbe? Tell them what Yohimbe is.
Yohimbe is a natural extract that supposedly helps blood flow.
Oh,
okay. It. Basically is like herbal Viagra. Supposed to be. Supposed to be.
Oh, no, I didn't
So
know.
I will say this: foods, you have to watch out. Two things. One, dairy. You have to watch out for dairy.
Okay. Why is that?
Dairy has an effect of giving you cramps, leg cramps, back cramps, stomach cramps. Depending on how your body breaks down magnesium, potassium, and calcium, physical activity, when you see football players or athletes getting leg cramps after a lot of physical exertion, that means they've had either milk, cream, or some type of dairy in the morning or along the way. From the other side of it, energy-wise, you're thinking carbs, you're thinking smoothies, you're not thinking alcohol. You have to minimize the alcohol. Though a little wine or a little yak will get your mind in the right spot, it may take you down just a little bit too much.
Right.
So the middle range of that would be, which some guys ain't too crazy about it, is the berry daiquiris and the nice daiquiri drinks, because most of those have strawberries, berries, or some type of natural sugar or fruit in it.
Okay.
It's true. I ain't gonna say it's true, because I disagree and it all makes sense. Let me put it like that. Because I'm just saying, like, dairy and a whole bunch of meat make your spunk funky.
Oh, I would take your word for it.
Make your what?
I don't know.
Your spunk
I'm gonna take your word for it. So, yeah.
What is over here like? What?
Yeah. So I'm just telling you,
listen, it makes your spunk funky, man.
Okay. Nobody wants no spunky spunk.
No, because the pineapple, like, all that stuff will come through. That's what I'm saying. Like, so if you do eat berries and if you do eat fruits and stuff like that, pineapple juice.
I'm on a heavy asparagus diet. That's what I'm doing.
And that makes your spunk funky.
Asparagus and onion.
And garlic.
Garlic. Yes, sir.
This is savory.
Yeah.
Savory.
So I would say it's like this.
What is that perfume?
I don't like that.
Carbs. I mean, it's your energy and fuel. Think of energy and fuel.
Energy and fuel.
Energy and fuel. Just like, if you're sitting in the office and it's around 4 or 5 o'clock, and you have something planned 7, 8, 9 o'clock, you literally start with putting fuel in your system, fuel and energy, and it's your carbs. That's your carbs, and that's fruit. That's fruit.
Okay.
That's the least. I mean, we know women have to prepare. It's the least you could do. And that ain't bad for you to sit there and eat some fruit, because we got to do a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, let me tell you. Now, let me just go on with that. I'm just what? I'm just saying. So, I'm just saying that's the least you could do. You made a really good point about stress, because I was reading somewhere that stress really has a lot to do with malfunction in the bedroom. A lot of men are overthinking sometimes. And if you're stressed out with work, you talked about corporate fatigue, that's real. Pandemic fatigue is real. So I noticed that I was reading a statistic that a lot of men are performing well post the pandemic because either they just, the whole thing, the whole like the stress of the whole pandemic really like took a lot out of it. And then people weren't eating well, and then people weren't exercising and moving. So, like he said, everything's connected. But getting back to the stress part, I wanted to just talk about that a little bit more about like what men can do. First of all, to acknowledge that they're even stressed out, because I don't think that some people know. I think that men have been told, be strong, be strong, be strong. Don't show any weakness. And I think that they compound things, and it's really hard to know how stress is affecting you. So how can you tell as a man if stress is impacting you that way?
Man, wow. Everyone is stressed. That's number one. All of us are stressed in one way or another. You need a supporting system. You really need a supporting system, and you need to reach out too. I think for me, and selfishly, and just my personality, I'm more of the person trying to check on folks, and I'm an outlier. I recognize that I am an outlier. I'll put it to you like this: I'm an outlier and a sadomasochist. I can take pain, and I'm comfortable in that space. It allowed me to play football and allowed me to move in that way. But on an intellectual standpoint, I do recognize all men are not like me. I'm not special. I'm different, and I'm an outlier. And my son is the exact opposite. Though he's a physical specimen, he gets quiet when things bother him. And so me recognizing that, I have to reach out to him. Some of the brothers at the church I used to go to, I know one brother was having a third baby at 45. He just got two, getting ready to graduate. And the wife said, hey, I'm pregnant. He just had a job change. And I could see how that was affecting him. So I reached out to him. So that's the sad part. We don't have enough individuals who pay attention to each other to say, hey, you know what's going on with you? Yeah. And I'll tell you this too. I was running a facility in Glenwood, and I had a young lady come in and say, hey, she knocked on the door and she said, hey, can I use your phone charger? And I'm getting ready to get on the MARTA. And I asked her, how was she doing? And I just asked her how was she doing, and I was going to turn around and go back to do what I was doing. And when I asked her how she was doing, she was honest and said, you know what? I'm doing terrible. I'm homeless. I got kicked out of my house. I don't know what I'm going to do from the next moment to the next. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, whoa. But so within that moment, all of us in the gym, my trainers and me, we scrambled up some change. I called my wife because my wife is hooked up with some ladies' female shelters, and we were able to coordinate something with her. About 2 weeks later, another young lady come to the gym door and wanted to come in and use the restroom. And I asked her how she was doing. And this time when I asked her how she was doing, I waited to see what she was going to say. And here again, a second situation with a young lady who was in some dire straits. So now, which I'm doing this now the last 5 years, when I ask somebody how they're doing, ask the brothers I know how they doing, and people around me how they doing, I'm looking at them and waiting for that answer. And I'm looking at eyes, I'm looking at body language, because I'm good at that. And I can tell when folks have something going on with them. And I'm not no doctor, I'm not no therapist, I'm not no psychiatrist, but I will listen.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, how you doing?
Yeah, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I think God has blessed me. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, and I'm on Romans 8:31 all the time. All the time. And he's given me a gift and gave me a purpose, and he gave it to me a long time ago, but I didn't get it. But now I get it. And I'll tell you, I get it thanks to a good friend, Malcolm Jamal Warner, because we were talking one day and he was just looking at all this stuff with Cosby, and he just has a little girl and COVID, and he got his new show, and he had just talked to Felicia Rashad, and that's his second mother, and I could still see with everything going in this conversation. I'm like, bro, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Understand your frequency and your vibration. And when I had that conversation with him, and we was tossing around frequency and vibration, we all have it. We all have it. We just have to use it. You use it for good intentions and use it correctly. And that's what I'm gonna do to the end.
That's amazing.
Well, before we get out of here, I just want to give you an opportunity to once again tell people about Heroes and Kings, how they can, interact with you. If you have any social media, let us know what that is. Shout us out real quick.
Yep. On Instagram, you can go to Glenn D. Andrews. That's the personal training stuff. And I like to post up kids stuff and some of the baseball players and folks I'm training. On Heroes and Kings Instagram, I just put up stuff in the store and little stuff that the kids be creating, and somebody will say something to me and we'll do a shirt. The one I just love here lately is God Engineered. That one was just so fun to me. You can get me at heroesandkings@gmail.com or GlennDAndrews1@gmail.com about training. I'm doing H&K next level training. My whole formal dining room was turned into a weight room. I got a bar park in the back. I'm big on calisthenics, so I'm training here at the house. So if folks want to privately train, I have the athletes come out here. They have to worry about paparazzi and entertainers. They have to worry about that. So privately, they can be trained and get it in. Have to worry about somebody bringing in cameras and social media and that kind of stuff. In a month, I'll be going down to San Diego, or we'll use technology and speaking at the Lincoln High Alumni Health Association Men's Health Forum. It's in conjunction with the Allen family, Marcus Allen, Damon Allen, good friends of mine. Their brother had a stroke, and over the years, we've had a lot of the guys between the ages of 50 and 60 dealing with a lot of health issues. And I'm in this realm and in this sphere, and I'm come down there and give my testimony.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. I just want to tell everybody who joined us this evening, afternoon, that is, thank you for tuning in with us. I want to thank you again, Glenn, for being with us. You guys, we're going to have another show coming out in the next couple of days, and then I'm going to let you all know what we're going to be doing and other announcements. You can follow us at the Grey Sweatpants Show. Like, subscribe, share, because we're doing this not just for ourselves. We're doing this for you guys too. We want you all to live better. So you can follow us there. You can follow April at April_ATL. You can follow AD at KingAD_ATL, and you can follow me at Comic John L. Adams. Thank you guys. Thank you again, Glenn. Appreciate you. Love you, brother.
And
thank you guys.
For you, when I come back to the gym on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, right?
Yes.
Woo,
yeah.
Goes by fast. Anyway, I got something for you on behalf of the Grey Sweatpants Show. And we want to thank you again. We hope that you know that this is what this is all about. Conversations with men. We talked about, talking to each other. I'm learning now being an ally for Black men.
We're ally for y'all too. We love you.
Yes,
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I just wanted to make sure that, again, we are all about, opening up the dialogue and having like just real good conversation and candid, truthful conversation, so that we can definitely help someone else. And we want to thank you because you've definitely been helpful today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
you, brother. Salute.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
See you later.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.